This is a song that's very different from the sort of thing that I normally cover, of course, and I hadn't actually heard of this song, or indeed Mustafa, until maybe a couple of weeks ago when I was walking down the high street here in Dalston, where I live, which is in the East End of London, and it's now a very vibrant creative hub, lots of music venues, and there was a queue of young and very interesting looking people outside one of the venues, and I was just intrigued, so I asked who they were going to see. Somebody mentioned Mustafa, so I came home and looked him up, and I think this was the first tune I heard, and I was captivated. There is a very strong acoustic guitar part played, I think, by Simon Hessman, who's credited as co-writer and producer of this track. He's not someone I know, but if you're into this music, you might well know him, and please put me right if it's not him, but it's a lovely part with lots of repetition. There are a few different sections in the song, but quite a lot of the chunks of guitar are sort of recycled. It's not massively difficult to play. There's just some quite nifty finger picking, and it goes at quite a pace, but the chord shapes themselves are simple enough. So look, I've got a capo on the 3rd fret, and I'm going to play as if in the key of D, which puts us in F. I'm not actually sure if what I've got is correct, whether it's the right position, and the guitar part is deliberately kind of lo-fi. There's a slightly kind of scratchy texture to it on the original, but I've done my very best. We'll have a look at the individual parts with the basic chord shapes first of all, and then we'll go through and look in much more detail at the finger picking, and by the end of this you should have a fairly authentic performance of the guitar part. So the song kicks off with a 12-bar intro section, and the intro is exactly the same as the verse. So if we get the verse together, we've also got the intro. The only difference is that in the verse there's an extra 4 bars section tacked on the end. And the basic sketch of the chords is this. We get 4 bars of D, 4 bars of B minor, 2 bars of G, 2 bars of A. That's it for the intro, and then to turn that into the verse we add another 4 bars of D. So I'll just sing the melody slowly through. The vocal melody comes in the verse in the 2nd bar, so it's like this. That's the whole of the verse. We'll have some passing chords and perhaps some bar chords to play instead of this G and A. We'll be playing them more like this when we look at the picking, but that's the basis of it. Okay, let's look at the chorus. The chorus is 20 bars. Think of it as 5 different 4-bar blocks. And actually a couple of those blocks repeat. So, and we've already got some of this material that we've played in the verse that we can recycle for this. So we're quite a long way into this now. We've got 2 bars of G, 2 bars of A again. I'll play G this way for now. All of these tribes, 2 bars of A. All of these street signs. Now it's D for a bar, A for a bar, and 2 bars of B minor. For now, we'll tweak this in a minute. None of them will be yours or mine, but G again. I'll be your empire. And that goes to F sharp. Maybe it's F sharp or F sharp 7, I don't really know. When we are picking, we'll be playing G this way anyway, so we'll just move that down a fret. But for now, it's an E type bar chord on the 2nd fret. I'll be your empire. So if we play F sharp for the first of those bars and then lift the little finger off, we've actually already got F sharp 7. Now the next line is the same as the 2nd line. It's our D, A, B minor. You stay alive, stay alive, stay alive. And the final line, again, 2 bars of G, 2 bars of A, just like the first line. Okay, so that's the whole of the chorus. Let's have that from the top of the chorus, and then we'll get on and look at the next bit, which is the bridge. All of these tribes, all of these street signs, none of them will be yours or mine, but I'll be your empire. Just stay alive, stay alive, stay alive. Okay, that's that. We've got the intro, the verse, and the chorus. So after the intro, first verse, chorus, second verse and chorus, we get into the bridge. And the bridge is another 16 bars. It's the only other bit that we have to look at actually. Kicks off with 4 bars of D. You know what 4 bars of D sounds like, but the original picking, I'll play you that so you can just hear where it is in the song. Now we get B minor for 2. And now we get this, A sharp diminished. Take it all away. And that's just like an A7 shape, standard A7, but with a first finger on the first fret of the 5th string. So I've got my 3rd finger on the 2nd fret of the 4th string, little finger on the 2nd fret of the 2nd string, and my first finger there is on the 1st fret of the 5th string. A sharp diminished or B flat diminished. Take it all away. 2 of those. Now we get a run that begins on B minor. Our freedom and our hearts. What happens here is we get B minor for a bar, and then we have B minor with an A in the bass. So I just need to shift that bar so that the open 5th string is clear. Freedom and our hearts, and that glow in your face. That's beautiful how he sings that. I can't nearly do that, but that's now an E7 over G sharp. So we have this. The way the bass moves against the melody is lovely. You'll often see me playing this, which is D over F sharp, and by the time this video's up on YouTube, my version of Elton John's Sorry Seems to Be the Hardest Word will be up, and there's lots of D over F sharp. It's a very common shape and a good way to just add a bit of heft in the lower end of a D chord when you've got a capo up there and it all feels a bit bright. But if we move it up here, it's going to give us E over G sharp, and because we've got the open 4th string, that acts as a 7, so we've got E7 over G sharp. Maybe more info than you need, but it makes it quite easy to play this shape. And then we finish this section off with 2 bars of G and then F sharp 7 for 2 bars. I remind you who you were before it changed. And that is difficult to make out on the recording. I think there might be a bit of D in there somewhere, so I might add that in, but we'll look at that in more detail when we look at the picking, and we get a slightly funky sound with that flat 13. All right, I think it's time to look at the picking. I'll put the tab up on the screen and you'll be able to like pause or make a screen grab or whatever, and I guess in time, if I can work out how to distribute this through the proper publisher, I'll make a PDF available, but for now it's going to be on screen. It's going to look like there's a lot to get through, but as I say, there's quite a lot of recycling. So at the beginning, we're going to just have to wade through bar by bar, particularly because the first 2 or 3 bars just aren't quite typical of what happens later. Anyway, let's crack on and see what happens. This is the very first bar. The most important thing in this picking is that whatever you're doing, your thumb is going to be playing the bass note on the 4th string if it's D, or the 5th string if it's a B, or a 6th string if it's the G or A chords, because we're going to bar those, but that's going to be happening all the time. And I've got my 3 picking fingers for now. 3rd finger's on the top string, 2nd finger on the 2nd string, 1st finger on the 3rd string. One more time. Now that actual pattern doesn't really come again in this song, so that's just a bit of an oddity. In the 2nd bar, more D. This time, we're going to open up that top string and then hammer onto it. And the 3rd bar is much more typical of the sort of thing we're going to do. You'll notice there are 3 different finger notes along with our thumb. And the first of those happens on the first beat, 2 and, the second one's on 2 and the last one is on 3 and. 1 and 2 and 3 and. So if you can get that one together, the rhythm for most of the picked chords in this song is like this. Okay, anyway, as promised, there's a transitional chord in the 4th bar, so that the last bar of D is broken up into a D. I'm just going to do this. And then this, which is going to take us down to the B minor. So the whole of the first 4 bars is this. And we're into the B minor. Now in the B minor, again the same rhythm, but my fingers are now moving down to the 2nd, 3rd and 4th strings. Okay, that's the first of those. The next one has a hammer on. I'm taking my 2nd finger away and then hammering it on. Okay, the next one, just like the first one. And then again, I'm going to transition a chord that's going to take us down, a passing chord as it's called, to the G. So the whole of the B minor section. You know, and you're just going to have to get this under your fingers. If you're new to finger picking, this might not be the most obvious starting place, but if you've got that independent thumb thing going, then that's going to stand you in really good stead. All right, we're nearly there. We've now got 2 bars of G, 2 bars of A. That would be it for the intro. This is the 3rd quarter of the verse, if you like, and our G is going to be here now. Okay, an E-type bar chord on the 3rd fret. And our finger notes are on the 3rd, 4th and back to the 3rd string. The next bar of G starts on the 2nd string. Okay, very similar thing for the A, just 2 frets higher. And the final bar that catches me out sometimes, there's a hammer on with a little finger onto the 7th fret of that 3rd string. And then for that last 2 beats, we just play, I think that's called a pinch, some people call that, where you've got a finger and a thumb together, and that's that. So the whole of the G, G, A, A is going to be like this. We finish off with 4 bars of D that are a bit different. Back to the top with my picking fingers. Okay, that's very like the opening of the song. Now we get this. That's nice. Okay, that's the whole of that. So if I can in one go, here's the whole of the verse picked slowly. Okay, and on to the chorus. Right, well that might seem like a lot, but we are getting there, especially since a lot of this stuff is recycled wholesale. The first 4 bars of the chorus, G, G, A, is exactly lifted from the verse, so it's this. That happens at the beginning of the chorus and again exactly note for note at the end of the chorus too. The second line is this. That's our bar of D, and now I've got A, but I'm going to put C sharp in the bass to create a passing bass note between the D and the B minor. but I also want an E at the top of the chord, so I'm going to go with this. This is my A over C sharp. You might find that a bit of a stretch. I'm barring across the 2nd fret. I really only need to bar across the 2nd, 3rd and 4th strings, or the 3rd and 4th strings, but I get a bit more leverage that way. 3rd finger on the 4th fret of the 5th string, and my little finger's going to come up to the 5th fret of the 2nd string, and that's going to be like this. Okay, so the 2 bars there, D and A over C sharp. Onto B minor. And again, a transition with this passing chord of an A. So I'm playing my B minor, holding that for 2 beats, A for 2 beats, and now we're on to 2 bars of G and 2 bars of F sharp. It's like this. Pretty much the same as the opening of the chorus, but now I'm starting on the 2nd string. Okay, that's how the picking for that goes, I think. Down a fret to the F sharp, and the melody there is only on the 3rd and 4th strings. I'm taking my little finger off to create F sharp 7, and I'm just going to hold that chord because that's what happens there. Just stay alive. Now we're on to our D, and I'm going to recycle the 2nd line exactly. Just stay alive, stay alive, stay alive. And the final line is again identical to the first line, so that's the whole of the chorus now. Okay, that's all of that. So if I can, I'll play the whole of the chorus slowly, just to say that when we go into the 2nd verse, it's exactly the same as the 1st verse, except we don't have the picking. The 1st verse of the 1st chord of the 2nd verse is just a held chord of D. So I'll get out of the chorus and into the 2nd verse, and I'll just put that held chord of D at the beginning before the vocal melody kicks in. All right, here's the chorus slowly. All of these tracks, all of these street signs, just stay alive, stay alive, stay alive. There's colors and flags, sweat on your back, doing what you can. So that's how that joins into the 2nd verse, which otherwise is exactly the same as the 1st verse, complete with that 4-bar block of D before the 2nd chorus. Then we get into the bridge. So we'll look at that now. Now I've already given you a taste of the picking at the beginning of the bridge. And that little stretch up there is the only part of the picking that makes me wonder whether actually this is played elsewhere, but this is how I'm doing it. My little finger stretches up to the 5th fret of the top string. Then it's open. And onto the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, which is what you'd expect to happen with a D chord. Okay, that might take a little practice. As I say, for me that's a bit of a stretch. Then we get this, which is exactly the same thing, and I'm being petty here, but I just think that there are 2 strings being picked together. That's what I hear. Otherwise it's the same as the 1st bar. And then we get this. Okay, a couple of things to think about here. I'm taking off the finger that I've got on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, which is my 3rd finger, on the 3rd beat, and then hammering it on 3 and. Okay, and then I've got a finger coming down onto the 2nd fret of the 5th string to get into the B minor. It's actually a B, so I've got 4 bars of D, but the very last beat already gets me into the B root of the B minor. So those 4 bars, nice and slowly. Okay, now 2 bars of B minor, 2 bars of our A sharp diminished, but it's nothing we haven't already looked at really in terms of the picking. It just happens to be that way around: 2nd string, 4th string, 3rd string, and then 2nd, 3rd and 4th. Okay, otherwise it's identical to stuff we've already looked at. And again here, it just might be an unfamiliar shape, but again the picking is 2, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4 in terms of the strings. So those 2 again, B minor enter the A sharp diminished. Okay, and again on B minor, 2nd string, 4th string, 3rd string. 2nd string, 4th string, 3rd string for the B minor over A. And now I'm doing this. I honestly don't actually know if this is exactly what was played on the original. It's difficult to see. It's a little bit indistinct. But that's what I'm doing. That's just in keeping with the picking for the rest of the song. 2nd string, 4th string, 3rd string, and then 2nd, 3rd and 4th. Anyway, that gives me the sound I want, and we finish off with G for 2 bars, again strings 2, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4. Now, again, it's a little bit difficult to make out exactly what's going on, and I'm going to play this. I only need to keep the bar from the G, move it down, keep that 2nd finger in position. It's now on the 3rd fret of the 3rd string. That's like a little shell voicing for a jazz chord. That's F sharp 7. And as I said before, I've got a feeling there's a D somewhere. Whether it's in the guitar or where it is, I don't know. But I'm going to include it by playing that. So that's the same F sharp 7 shape. And I've got my little finger now on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. And if that's not absolutely right, well, sorry, but never mind. I actually quite like that. It gives a little bit of a jazz feel to get us back into the final chorus. So if I can, the whole of the bridge slowly. Changed all of these tribes, and we're just into the final chorus. So the whole structure of the thing is intro, which is our verse minus those 4 bars of D. Intro, verse, chorus, bridge, and then a final chorus. And what happens here is, well, we go to the outro, which is effectively, I'm not sure how many bars are on the original. I'm going to play 7, and what I'm going to do is this. It's just D. I'm going to take the 3rd bar of the intro and the 2nd bar of the intro, and then just switch and swap between them. So I'm going to get this 3 times. One more. And I'm just going to end on a D chord like that. And that, I think, is everything. Okay, wish me luck. I'm going to play the whole thing through now. I'm not going to sing. You'll be glad to know I've got the melody recorded with the alto saxophone, which is going to be hopefully a little more tuned for. I'll play the whole thing up to speed with a tab on the screen. Thanks very much for watching, and see you on the next one. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.